and welcome back to the channel. Now today I have been joined kindly by my friend Ben Rain. He's brought his E89 Z4 down. It's a 35 IS actually, so the best one you can possibly have. But anyway, he's brought his E89 Z4 down so that I can film a couple of comparison videos with the two of them. Not on how they drive, we've sort of done that before, but just on the cosmetics. So in this video, I'm going to talk about the aesthetic differences of the E89. Is that the, no, I'm pointing at the wrong one there. The E85 and the E89 Z4, and then also I'm going to film an interior differences as well because there's a lot to talk about there. I think there should probably be separate videos. So anyway, this one is the aesthetic differences on the outside of the car. So anyway, I'll stop pointing this camera in my face now and we can walk around the two cars and just point out the differences. So guys, here we go, here are the two cars. I thought it'd be a good idea to park them quite far apart, but it sort of looks a bit weird. Anyway, sorry for that. The wind is quite bad today, so I'm going to try and speak as clearly as possible so that you can hear me and not the wind. So yes, this is Ben's E89 Z4. It's a 2011 model. You will have seen it on the channel before, or it has been on the channel before. I actually drove it back in May, and that was extremely fun. It's a brilliant, brilliant car, but today we just want to talk about the differences. Before we start, I want to point out that this front splitter here, which is very nice I must say, it's something that Ben actually fitted, so that's an aftermarket splitter. That's not standard on these 35 IS E89s. So I know that this being the 35 IS is actually different to some of the other E89s, such as you've got the M Sport bumper, you've got two exhausts separated at the back as opposed to twin pipes, and a few other things as well. But anyway, yeah, we're just going to basically point out this one from this one to make it nice and simple for you guys watching. So obviously the two cars, if you look at them next to each other, the E89 is a little bit wider and it is also a little bit longer. There are also a number of similarities, but we're going to go through them all. So starting sort of at the side of the car, you can see both of them quite conveniently. They both have these side BMW emblems. On my E85, that is actually an indicator. We'll go a bit closer to that in a moment. Whereas the indicator on the side of these E89s is there. But yeah, it still kind of shares that same BMW logo with the model or the engine size on the side there, which is quite cool. The wheels, I think as standard, are probably slightly bigger on these. These are actually M3 replicas, these alloys. I think they're, I don't know, 19 inches probably. But yeah, again, in terms of sort of the distance between the two of them, they're sort of in the same place. You sit on the rear wheel in the E89 like you do in the E85 as well. Another similarity, actually, just looking at the two of them, is the mirrors. They, although they're slightly different, if you look at them from a distance, the shape is exactly the same. Again, we'll get closer to my one in a moment, but you've still got the same sort of line in the back of it there, and it does. They do actually very much resemble. Moving round to the rear of the car, obviously the petrol filler cap's in the same place. That's not really something to talk about, but I've just said it anyway. And obviously the most obvious one, which is very apparent from this angle, is my car is a soft top and that is a hard top. I'm sure you're intelligent enough to have seen that for yourself, but I guess that is actually the main difference between these two generations of Z4. That generation of Z4, the E86, did actually come as a coupe, but this E89 generation only came as a hard top convertible. So there is no coupe and there is no soft top. So actually, it's sort of offered in less variants than the older generation. But anyway, yes, that is probably the main exterior difference to talk about here. At the back of the car then, as I mentioned, the 35 IS has two separated pipes here, which do look very good, although mine only has the twin pipes on one side, which does share with some of the other E89 models, like the 30i, I think they have their twin pipes at the back here as well. Brake lights, very different. The whole back of the car is probably the most different part about these two. My E85 Z4 has much sort of sharper lines, I guess, more aggressive lines, and this is a much smoother sort of back, but it still does look aggressive, and obviously that's sort of I guess that's subjective. Anyway, the brake light, actually I didn't realise this until I just started filming now, but the rear brake light is actually up here on the E89, whereas as you will probably know, on the E85 it's actually on the boot lid, so they changed that with this generation as well. I guess that is really it, pointing out the stuff on the E89 which differs. If I walk around the E85 now to see if there's anything I might have missed, I don't think there really is. That is probably, I mean, you guys can see for yourself the exterior differences. But like I say, with the lines, the sort of Z line that you can see here is a lot more apparent on my E85 than it is on the E89. Actually, there isn't a Z line. The lines were a lot more subtle, and there isn't a line that sort of goes down there. So yeah, much more, I'd say, sort of aggressive sweeping lines on the E85. The E89 is a lot more sort of smooth, I'd say, all in all. But you can see sort of looking at them next to each other, the cosmetic similarities, at least from the outside, you know, they're similar. They are very similar, but at the same time, they have sort of beefed the E89 up a bit, and I guess given it more road presence as a whole. So yeah, I think that's kind of interesting to have the two of them next to each other and just look at the differences of how they look. And now to end up at the front of the cars, you can actually, I didn't know this until now, but my car has these fog lights. I actually really like the way they look on that, but the E89 doesn't have fog lights, which is kind of crazy, but yeah, it doesn't. Also, this one doesn't have a front number plate, which is very, very naughty, but that isn't obviously an E89 thing. That is just the owner's preference. He says it fell off. Yeah, so there you go, guys. I guess that really is it. There's not really much else to talk about, because they are so similar, apart from the main differences, obviously the roof, that being a soft top, that being a hard top convertible. The rear of the car is quite different. They definitely changed that, and I'm not sold on how the rear of these look. However, I do think from the front, this thing is way more imposing and aggressive than that. The spec on this one being all murdered out with the big wheels certainly helps. But yeah, there you go, guys. I hope you found that informative. If you are sort of, I don't know, like trying to weigh up what you prefer with the two of those cars. Well, there we have it, guys. I really hope you found that interesting. Obviously, if you didn't, you probably would have switched off by now anyway. But there we go. There's the sort of exterior differences between the E85 and the E89. I thought, you know, all the time YouTubers are doing really complicated, nice-looking sort of driving reviews. I like to do those videos, don't get me wrong. But I thought, actually, look, we've got the two cars together. Let's just do a really simple walk around and point out the differences. If there's anything I missed, which is extremely likely because I'm always missing things, do comment below, and also share your opinions down there too. Don't forget to check out, whether it might not be live yet, but it will be going live. There will be a same video as what I've just done here, but it will be the interior of the cars, because there's quite, I say there's a lot more differences on the inside than there are on the outside. So I'm making a separate video on that. Stay tuned on the channel to see that. It should be out very, very soon. Anyway, thank you so much, guys, for watching this video, and I will see you very, very soon.